What is up, everybody? In today's video, we're going to be no-hitting Dark Souls 2 using the Sanctum Mace. This is a unique weapon that deals a lot of damage, but builds up poison on your character every single time you swing it. This makes it very difficult to use on a no-hit run because we're often in red tier stone range at low HP, and if we proc poison on ourselves, it's basically an instant death. This run is part of a challenge I'm doing, where I'm trying to complete 40 different no-hit runs before the end of 2022. If you're wondering where all the other runs are, they're also going to be coming to YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss those. And if you're interested in watching me route and complete these runs live, you can follow my Twitch where I stream almost every single day, and we're completing a bunch of no-hit runs. But for now, sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the run. So that it simulates this, but in this game, what's really nice is when you have toggle sprint up, you can still roll, right? That's kind of the big thing. I don't know why, especially in a game like Elden Ring that's so big, there's so much running, why they didn't put some of the controls that they had in this game into it. Because toggle sprint is such a good idea.
Oh. Curses upon you, nothing.
And there's a bunch of other toggles, like there's toggle shield block, which I don't know why that exists, but it does. What do I mean, SO1 802? Well, so max level in Dark Souls 3 is 802, so I did a subathon where I went from the lowest possible level, which is level 1, all the way to 802, and I did, like, legitimately. I didn't use glitches or anything like that. No, it wasn't in it wasn't in one NG. It was on one character though, obviously. I think. So I did 79 playthroughs of Dark Souls 3. And I remember at first I didn't think it would be that bad. And so the first few NGs I was kind of messing around using other random weapons and stuff. But then after a few NGs, I'm like, man, this is taking a while. So I started actually going fast. I'm really excited for next round of Amit, you guys. Amit has been more fun now that it's clinched, you know? It's kind of fun to watch it and not have to worry about what's going on. Now the only thing that I'm concerned about is keeping my numbers really good. That's what I want. My goal at this point is to keep my numbers really, like my hits especially, keep those super low. Which, man, the last few matches I don't know, the last 6 matches I feel like I haven't even taken more than 15 hits or something, you know? It definitely would be cool to have the same thing. I will in the Amit Discord, I'm gonna bring up the all right buff again, because they might have forgotten about it or something. The backseat, essentially what it does is it forces your opponent to go back to the previous bonfire no matter what. How much easier the Rotten is when we get to kill him with the rapier, dude. It's just so much better. 3 hits on an attack, not 1. But yeah, for people who aren't aware, what I suggested for buffing All Right, because All Right is unquestionably the worst Amit. It's actually useless at this point. The only way it's useful is if you somehow go against a boss that you have to parry, in which there's 2 bosses, basically. Actually, you know what would have been funny? If I used All Right against Bree in our match on that Pontiff Gate, that would have been a huge That would have been borderline an impossible fight for her. Should have used it, dude. But yeah, there's 2 bosses, Champion Gundyr and Pontiff, and honestly, if you have the damage, they're not a concern at all. Even if you can't parry. So if you somehow, if you get a build where one-handing it makes it either impossible to use or way worse to use. And that's basically just bows, right? You would have to use it on a boss and then hope it's one of the 2 bosses, Champion Gundyr or Pontiff. The only moveset of a weapon you have access to if you're putting it in your left hand and one-handing it is just the basic R1 attacks. But what's funny too is if you have a parry shield, all right doesn't necessarily prevent you from parrying because you can parry with the shield in your right hand as well. So it's not like Dull Blade where you're basically guaranteeing your opponent's not going to be able to beat a boss in time unless it's a super weak boss. Or obviously Backseat, which essentially gives you a free point. Depends on your damage output, but... Alright, let's guess we'll get 20 endurance or something, I don't know. Maybe not. You know, sometimes you're behind him and or it feels like you're behind him and it still gets you, but... Yeah, with that one, I usually just run away and then, depending on what he does, most of what he follows it up with, I just jump. The mace is not going so well, actually. This is I think our 7th try now or something. Yeah, it's a really awkward weapon. I kind of underestimated how bad it was, basically. So I guess it's less the poison and more just I'm not used to the moveset at this point. Yeah, Dragonriders is... Once we get past Dragonriders, the run should be decently free, but I also lost a run, the Throne Duo, with this weapon, so... But it wasn't even because of the weapon at all, it was because of the... I rolled off the cliff, somehow. Like on a really weird RNG fight. Yeah, see here, I can't just spam because poison. Okay, we're finally getting decent RNG here, though. Yeah, finally a good Najka fight. Every other time she's jumped away from me. Yeah, you can cut both of the halves of the tail. Really like tail cuts, actually. I don't know why they took them away in Dark Souls 3. Yeah, you can climb onto her back. Last time I did it, she literally fucking bucked me right off, and then she instantly went underground, and I got hit by it. Oh, there's no... Whatever you made the command to do. And randomly select? No, there's if you do exclamation mark request, you can see all the runs that were selected for me to do by viewers with channel points is how they were requested. It's closed right now for this challenge for obvious reasons. Of course you don't die because you buffed yourself. Classic. Classic right there, dude. That's a classic DS2 moment. Oh yeah, and of course those didn't hit. Unreal. And that thing can just hug the rocks. Just no problems, dude. It just hugs the rocks perfectly to curve around so that I have to roll it. Longest boss fight on RL1 plus 0. I remember Moog taking a pretty long time. And not in attempts, the actual boss fight itself, I assume is what you mean, right? I can't remember any super long fights because the damage isn't that bad. Especially when you're stunning bosses constantly. But I also wasn't using status effects, and then I also wasn't trying to use the optimal setups on boss fights. It is one thing I find interesting that people pick on the hitbox in Dark Souls 2 so much, because I've seen in people that make those really long videos shitting on Dark Souls 2. I've seen one of the main points is that the hitboxes are bad in this game, and I don't know. I think you'd just be incorrect if you said that the hitboxes didn't improve through each game that they've made. Like, the hitboxes that FromSoft has in their games has improved drastically over time. I think that's probably a big part of it, where somebody rolls an attack. And how often do people blame the game when something bad happens? All the time. I mean, even people that are extremely experienced, right? Or maybe people who are extremely experienced are the most likely to blame the game when something wrong happens. But I think it's probably a lot of part due to agility. And you roll an attack and you don't have as many iframes, and then it just looks horrible, right? You're mid-roll and you get hit. That's why so many people have different opinions on which one's the hardest, and then having just general Souls experience actually does play a small role as well. I think a really good example of the how much a build impacts it is a boss like Millennia, because there was, certain streamers that on Millennia had such an unbelievably hard time, and it's because they were using a bad weapon or a super slow weapon. It was hard to figure out. But for somebody like me, and I'm not, it's I ended up beating her in about 45 minutes, and it's not because I'm just better at the games or something. It's simply because I was using one of the most optimal builds for her that just trivialized her almost. And yeah, and so I think if someone were to say that Elden Ring's the easiest FromSoft game, that there's a legitimate case for that. And that's why when people ask me, especially when Elden Ring came out, when people are asking me what is my best tip for them or something, I think the best advice is when you're trying to fight bosses and you're trying to beat them for the first time, you should never go into them trying to win. At least at the start, right? You end up taking a lot longer to learn the moveset of the boss, where if you go into the fight and just try to learn the moveset right away and don't think about winning, then you're going to end up beating them a lot quicker. I didn't do that with Elden Ring, for example. Elden Ring, I took my sweet time on my first playthrough, and I did a little bit of PvP at the start as well. Yeah, dude, Udek's Gundyr took me so fucking long, man. He took me so many hours to beat on my first playthrough. I can't really remember Vort or anything, but I remember spending so much time on Gundyr, and I thought the game was legitimately cheating. Yeah, I kind of forgot where we actually were here. I'm on such autopilot, dude. That's what happens when I play these games at this point. DS2 and DS3, I'm just on such autopilot. I don't know why I rolled that. Yeah, see how close those guys sound? And they're way back there. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm zoomed in. It sounds so weird. Easiest is Midir? On your first playthrough, or what do you mean? My first playthrough, Midir was honestly a fucking menace because I didn't understand that I had to not be at his tail. So I actually had a very hard time with Midir my first time. Just sitting at his tail all day long. But yeah, of course, Midir, I would say, is one of the easiest bosses in the entire game at this point. Yeah, the damage is so good. Like, imagine if I could actually attack the boss all the time. This weapon would be amazing, but you just constantly have to wait. Yeah, if they made Radagon where instead of his phase 2 where he just starts spamming you with lightning or holy magic or whatever, if they made it into something else that wasn't Elden Beast. Because I don't know, I think he's got too many AoEs, man. He's just spamming the AoEs all day long. Imagine Horlu picking up a huge rock and throwing it at you, dude. And I'm talking a huge fucking rock. And yeah, I guess the clergyman has something similar, but that's just a little boulder, right? I'm talking fucking huge. Thanks, Mugrin. Starts picking up rocks. He becomes an earthbender, dude. With lava. Well, I like the appearance of Margit's Arena. The environment and stuff is really cool, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't mind his arena too much. I like Millennia's arena too. Doesn't get in the way. One thing I guess I don't like is that there's a bunch of big changes in the terrain angle, which actually messes some stuff up. While he opens his face at the beginning? Because he's gonna jump at you or something? Or I don't know what you mean. Does the one dash? You mean the jump? You just simply dodge it? In fact, this is the first time in a run that I haven't gotten that attack since I came back to Dark Souls 2. What's up, Hemlocks? It's the first time. Every single other time I've gotten that jump attack. For some reason. Even though, yeah, it's really rare. But on the crossbow, I think I got it a good 3 times or something. Yeah, you just simply dodge it. It's not as fast as people make it out to be. I assume you mean the jump and not, because he's got an actual dash attack where he goes through the water, which is a pretty funny one, but he sort of, he does a power glide through the water at you. But there's a lot of attacks on that boss that don't happen if you're close up. I wasn't trying to free him that, but I basically grazed that right past his head.
I'll give you the best nut ever.
There's a lot of jumps, especially. I guess crouches I don't know as much, but there's a lot of jumps that you just wouldn't really expect to do it there. Or you wouldn't expect it to be possible or something. Oh, come on. How do you... That's so annoying. With Dino, where this is actually one of the tougher bosses with this weapon, I'd say. Because normally you just like to poke his leg a bunch of times, but we obviously can't. Seriously. Surprised he did that on the opening somehow, because if you do that properly, actually there is about a, I think, a 20% chance that he still flies back or something. Maybe it's less than that, but 'cause I was definitely in position in time, but he just decided to do it anyways. Oh yeah, somebody came into the chat when during Amana, I think maybe, and they said, "Are you Italian?" I don't think you really look Italian. Maybe more Scottish or something like that. But I didn't respond to it because I think I was focusing. But I remember reading that, and I just remembered that I read that. But yeah, no, my actual name is not Gino, though. I'm Canadian. And I think my ancestors have been in Canada for a really long time. God damn it, dude. Headshot loop. Ah. Would be my job if I was born in the Middle Ages. My job? I don't know. I've done a lot of, maybe not a lot of, but I've definitely done some woodworking in my life so far. And I started doing that in high school when I took a bunch of those classes, and I haven't really done much outside of that, but I've done a little bit, so maybe that's what I'd do. I'd be a carpenter or something. Maybe. Just like in Minecraft, dude. You have a mandate from heaven, dude. Yeah, I'm the second coming. And then just simply cruise your way until you get crucified or something. Yeah. Dude, I thought one of those guys was still alive. You really got to be careful with these cannonballs or whatever, because they have a very long hitbox. I don't even know what he just did right there. The only boss in the run where we actually can proc poison, basically. A lot of these bosses are susceptible to poison, but just the buildup is so bad that they have to be insanely weak to actually get procced. What's up, Mad King? I don't even know if there's a point in buffing the weapon, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Bro. I would like to use the weapon. You would just come closer to me. Oh, that was really close. I don't have a lot of room here. I really do not have a lot of room here. All right, Jesus, what a horrible fight, dude. What an atrocious fight. It's so rare. It's so rare for her to just not walk up to you at all and then do that. But yeah, at least we got it. And that was so close too. I almost ran out of room. I almost got ticked because those, if you get near those balls, they just instantly deal damage to you. So not a good fight, but yeah, at least we finally got this fucking cursed run, dude. This run took us, I think, 7 tries, which is the longest so far. Sanctum Mace is done. Oh, wait. Yeah, 31. So, Vanquisher Seal should be super easy. Grand Lance, super easy. Ladle, don't know. And then that's all the DS2 runs, I believe.